Welcome back to Sports Kathi. Today we are here to discuss about the Wimbledon that is starting. We were enjoying a good French Open, and now we are into the grass court. And let's start saying who are the upcoming players over here, because everyone knows the favorites, the Federers and the Djokovic, the fan favorites, and certainly you everyone knows the Medvedevs and the Zverev, who all the youngsters have shown till now. So the first name I want to say is Aslan Karatsev. He's an interesting prospect coming forward. I also would like to give a shout out to Riley Opelka. He can reach the quarterfinals, and that may be interesting. Similarly, Yannick Sinner, who also reached the quarterfinals in French Open, if I'm right, and gave a very good fight to Djokovic. He can make a repeat of that if he reaches the quarterfinals again this time. Then another person I just wanted to give a shout is Hugo Humbert. He is is a British tennis player, and he's going to play Nick Kyrgios in the first round, and that might be an interesting match because Humbert is someone who's known as a grass court specialist as well. Also, would like to just give a shout out to few interesting matches in the first round, especially Medvedev is playing Struff. Medvedev has a really tougher draw, and he's playing Struff in the first round. Similarly, Sinner, as I mentioned, is playing Fuchsowicz in the first round, which can be a very interesting match. I also would like to give a shout to Popyrin, who's playing Nishikori in the first round. And that can be interesting. I mean, people might see Nishikori and they might think he might be a favorite, but Popyrin can give a fight. And another youngster I just forgot to mention is Alex Minor, the Australian. He is a very impressive, tennis player. Minor is very young, and is playing another person who's also very young. Is Koda, is the American, tennis player. So that will be an interesting match for the first round. I don't think I have missed any upcoming player or anyone interesting as such. Or perhaps I should also mention Felix Auger, the Canadian youngster. We also talked about him in the French Open, but unfortunately he did not live up to our expectations. Let's see what he does on the grass court. I will give it to Rohit to see about the draws, about the big guys, who should reach the semi-finals and the finals from here on, who has a easier draw.
Yep. Thanks, Vaishakh. So I just want to start off with, firstly, I just want to mention, yes, you mentioned about Yannick Sinner. Yannick Sinner did play the fourth round in the French Open, and he played against Nadal. That Djokovic got the other Italian youngster, Musetti, at that time. So yes, the Italians are playing well, and I will be talking about one particular Italian as we go forward. So anyways, coming to the quarters. So we'll just take a walk through to each of the quarters, and I will say who I think is going to be the my selection to go through the quarters. So the first quarter, we have the world number one and the tournament favorite, Novak Djokovic. People are expecting him to win his 20th Grand Slam and equal the record of Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. And there's also an added opportunity, given that this is the year of the year of the Olympics, that there's a faint possibility for now that he can win the Golden Slam. So because he has won the first two Grand Slams already. So hopes are high, but we know what happened in 2016 when the hopes were high like this. So maybe it can be a repeat of that, but let's for that. So in his first quarter has Novak Djokovic. He has a very interesting first round. He plays a British youngster called Draper. Now he's a 19-year-old kid, but what I did hear or what I did read is that from the British media is that he is someone who is thought about very highly in the British crowd. So now they were saying that if he was not seeded against Djokovic, but if he had gotten even a seeded opponent who is not in the top 10, he could have even made an upset. So it'll be interesting. At least we'll get to see him up close in the first round. We'll see what he's made of. So it'll be a good first round fixture with the crowd against Djokovic. It's not new for him. And then he will get to, in the second round, Djokovic goes through, he gets to meet possibly the 2018 repeat or 2018 Wimbledon finals repeat, because he'll get to play Kevin Anderson, the big serving South African. But then he has aged and he has well past his peak. So I see a straight set win over there for Djokovic, but big servers are always challenged. After that, Djokovic draw kind of opens up. There are no big names, big grass court names in the entire draw. So it's a very smooth sailing for Djokovic till quarters. I would even say still semis. So for me, from the first quarter, I would expect Djokovic to come through, and he would play from the in the quarterfinals. I would expect him to play as per seed. His biggest opponent is Rublev, but I don't know whether Rublev is actually a grass court player. They have never met. Djokovic and Rublev have never met before in a Grand Slam, so it'll be an interesting scenario there. I would expect that's what Rublev by seeding, but I would expect maybe as Vaishakh did mention there is a Sinner in that side of Rublev, and I would expect Sinner to come into the quarters to play Djokovic in the quarters. So I would expect first quarter between Djokovic and Sinner. That is my prediction for the first quarter. Coming to the second quarter, in the second quarter we have the French Open finalist, the other French Open finalist in Tsitsipas. Now, Tsitsipas again has a very straightforward draw. To be fair, Tsitsipas has a first round against Tifoe, who for me is maybe a tricky first round, but Tsitsipas will easily win it in five sets. That's for sure. Otherwise, when you look at the draw, there are what is hidden in his half is that he has a possible fourth round, which can be challenging, which Vaishakh was mentioning about the Australian youngster, Minor. He might be a possibility, but again, Minor himself have to overcome the British Dan Evans in the third round if he has to face Tsitsipas in the fourth round. So fourth round for Tsitsipas would be the first major challenge. It can be either Minor or Dan Evans. One of them can be his opponent, but I would expect Tsitsipas to come through. On the other side of the draw, I do not actually see anyone. To be fair, that side of the draw is very, very open because the highest seeded player there is Bautista Agut, and he is a French, clay court player. So I don't see him making big, big breakthroughs in the grass court. Maybe who knows? Maybe he will live up to his expectations on the rankings. But my player of the my player who I think will come through was Vaishakh again mentioned Riley Opelka, a big serving American. He's a kid, he's a youngster. He is someone who we can talk about. So that might be the best player who can come through from the other side. So I expect a quarterfinals match between Tsitsipas and Riley Opelka. So that's what I'm looking at. Just want to mention that we have Andy Murray on that side of the draw, and there's a possibility that this might be Andy Murray's. Not a possibility. I did hear or I did read that this will be Andy Murray's last Wimbledon. It'll be interesting to see if he can win a couple of matches and make it. I don't know how far it's possible. So anyways, that's the prediction for second quarters. Going to third quarters, so the highest seed in the third quarters is Zverev. Now, Zverev is considered by many as a grass court player because he has done well in hard courts. He made the finals of US Open last year. He has done well. He has done, I would say, decently well in clay court also. But people say that if he can actually win a Grand Slam, that would be grass court. The people rate Zverev highly on grass court. So Zverev's draw, if you look at Zverev in his side of the Vaishakh did mention about a very interesting match in the first round where Kyrgios versus Humbert. But otherwise, other than that, Zverev doesn't have a very big, difficult draw. He might run into Fritz at some point in maybe third round, but otherwise, there's nothing much we can really talk about. Vaishakh also mentioned about Felix Auger-Aliassime, the Canadian. But again, I don't know whether he's going to challenge Zverev. So Zverev will come from that side of the draw, is what I'm expecting. On the other side is another Italian who I rate extremely highly. He recently won Queens here, if I'm right. So he is in form, and he is the one I'm looking at, and his name is Berettini. Just for form, he did reach the quarters of French Open. He gave big challenge to Novak Djokovic there. I know that match was overshadowed there because it went only for 4 sets. But that it was a late night match in India at least, and even in France. So it did not get the same hype, but that match was high quality. And Djokovic came out of that match and famously did a shout out because that match was such a high pressure match. And Berettini is a big serving player, and in grass court, big servers have advantage. So I expect Berettini to sweep through his draw. His half of the draw, there is no one who can actually challenge him until maybe in third set he can come across the big serving Isner. Now Isner is past his best, but Wimbledon and Isner, a lot of things can happen. So I would expect Isner to be the biggest challenge for Berettini initially. So that's the biggest challenge I've seen in the third round. He will meet Isner. Maybe in the final round, in the fourth round, he can come in someone like Casper Ruud or one of those players who can come in and play with the fourth round. But I would expect Berettini to come through from the quarters. So my prediction for the quarters from that quarter is Berettini versus Zverev. So that's my prediction for quarters. Now coming to the last quarter and the quarter of Roger Federer. He will first two matches of I would say walkover for Federer. He will just get through easily. The third round match I want to talk about a bit. So Nori is not someone, a British young player, is not someone Federer will take lightly. He's seeded now. He's I think seeded 29 now. So he would give Federer his first major challenge. I expect Federer to come through it, given he has been in form, but he did lose last week. So let's see what form he is in. But he did have a decent French Open, and I think his fitness is back to good. I expect him to go through that particular round, and I expect him to make it to the quarter. So that's the Federer. The only challenge I'm seeing is Nori there. Otherwise, he has some clay court players like Gasquet, others who he should walk over. Now, the other part of the quarter, where the highest seed is Medvedev. Now, Medvedev is world number 2, seeded 2, but he has a very, very difficult draw. His first round opponent is Struff, and Struff is someone who actually beat him last week in the first round in Queens. So it'll be interesting whether Medvedev can overcome again a repeat of that first round. But over 5 sets, I expect Medvedev to come through. He showed that resilience in French Open, a place where we did not expect him to progress much. He actually went through a lot. So I really do see him fighting through that. But even then, in the third round, he will come across a big serving Marian Cilic. Cilic, someone like Isner, is past his best, but I still think Cilic can trouble a lot of players because of his big serve. So Cilic is not an easy third round fixture to have. And once he goes into the fourth round, he can get to play Dimitrov. And Dimitrov's favorite court is grass court. So I don't think it'll be easy for Medvedev there also. So that'll be a very good match. If Dimitrov Medvedev in the fourth round would be a real tight match for Medvedev. But I'm giving him benefit of the doubt or benefit of the ranking, I would say in this case. And I expect Medvedev to come through from that part. And I expect Medvedev and Roger Federer to play the last quarters. So that's my prediction for the quarters. And those are my quarterfinalists. Now, once I have the quarterfinalists, I want to just make my prediction for the semi-final and finals. So I would expect from the first quarter, obviously, I expect Djokovic to go through, and Djokovic will get to play Tsitsipas in the from the second quarter. So it will be a Djokovic versus Tsitsipas as the first semi-finals. I expect Djokovic to win that and go into the finals. From the second semi-finals, I am actually expecting Berettini versus Zverev. I give my vote to Berettini. Not a popular opinion, I know, but I'm giving Berettini the benefit of. I think he's the in-form player. I give Berettini. He won the tournament recently, so Berettini goes for the semi-finals, and he will face Roger Federer. Again, it really depends on how much energy and stamina and fitness Federer has. But I think Berettini versus Federer would be the other semi-finals, and then I expect Berettini to win that semi-finals, and he'll go to the finals to play Djokovic, and I expect Djokovic to win a really tight finals and to win his 20th Grand Slam. So that's my prediction, but I'm a Djokovic fan. So I'm slightly biased. Vaishakh, off to you. What is your prediction?
I mean, you have sold the case for Berettini so much. And when I was talking one day back, I was pretty surprised. Like, why is Berettini rated so high? But he has. I mean, if you have done it in the Queens, you can also do it here at the Wimbledon. I do agree with your prediction right now.
By the way, I just want to give a couple of shout outs before we just quickly wrap up. Zhang Xingzheng, who's going to be the first Chinese player to play Wimbledon in the Open era. So that's a very good fun fact. So Vaishakh, off to you to talk further and wrap it up.
Just before wrapping it up, we can say, just mention a bit about the ladies tennis. We don't have enough knowledge to go through the ladies draw and predict anything about it. But of course, we all know that Serena Williams is a traditional favorite. She has been playing really good at grass. She has not won any of the previous Wimbledon in the last couple of years, but she has reached the final stages really strong. And this time the people who might trouble her, the shouts that you generally hear are like Kenin or Ashley Barty or Lenka. But you never know. Maybe none of these people might win. It might be someone new. That's what has been happening in the WTA for long. But as of every Wimbledon starts, it's certainly Serena Williams to lose. And one more thing, I just want to give a shout out to her sister, Venus Williams. She's coming with a mixed doubles partner, and that is Nick Kyrgios. And I would like to see how Nick Kyrgios, his tactical knowledge of the game, how he will adapt to the doubles, and that might be interesting. Just a shout out to that. So I think it has been much longer than the research that we have done. So let's conclude over here for the Wimbledon. Let's see who wins it. Let's conclude over here. Stay safe. Until next time. Goodbye.
Bye.